Hey everybody, welcome back to another Survivor video in week 10. A lot of big wins in week 9, but one that's still leaving me scratching my head is the Packers dropping their game against the Lions. Let's hope that we can continue on this hot streak and get you guys 1 week closer to your Survivor leagues. As always, we'll talk about all the games that are favored by basically 3.5 points or more. So these are the teams this week that you're probably considering, given these options get thinner and thinner as the weeks goes on. And of course, we're going to look at the schedule for these teams. What I'm noticing here, you got guys like Dallas, Buffalo, Kansas City. You got a lot of opportunities to pick these guys. Whereas teams like the Titans, and even Miami, you can pick a lot less often. So something to think about moving forward. Raiders as well. But going on to start these games on this slate, as we always do, proceed with caution. I'm going to start talking about the Broncos facing the Titans. Titans favored by 3 points here, which might strike people as a little bit odd because this 3-point favorite implies that these two teams were playing on a neutral field, that it would be a coin flip game. And you would think that's weird based on the way you saw the Broncos play this entire season. Very poorly so far, and the way the Titans played this last week against the Chiefs, played them very strong and arguably should have won that game. But Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are always going to storm back in the fourth quarter. So at surface level, it seems kind of odd, but I took a little bit deeper dive into it. It starts to make a little more sense when you realize this Broncos team has, I think, the best team in the country in terms of points per game led up on defense. They are the number 2 overall graded defense in football, top 5 run defense, and the best coverage defense. So these guys, their defense is going to limit any opposing offense, even one as good as the Titans when Derrick Henry is churning. They're going to force the Titans to be very one-dimensional, this Broncos defense, especially because their coverage is so good. They don't need to drop that many guys back in coverage to take away the not many receiving threats the Titans have, along with inexperienced quarterback or with Malik Willis or a banged up quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. So if they're gonna lose this game, it's gonna be because Derrick Henry just will not go down and will not get tackled. But again, this Broncos team is also very good in the run defense. So this game coming off a bye, Broncos fresh, even without Bradley Chubb. You'd like to think that this offense can get a little bit of momentum going for them. I've been saying that all week, all year long, but it seems like this is a game for the Broncos to at least compete. Again, the spread is implying this game is going to be very close. If this game was in Denver, the Broncos would be -3. That concerns me in terms of picking these kind of games. A team with as good as a defense as the Broncos have is always a scary pick against a survivor pick, especially with a rookie quarterback that hasn't looked that stellar so far. Another game that I want to caution is the Dolphins at the Browns here. Browns coming off a bye week themselves, getting little fresh legs, facing the Dolphins that beat the Bears. Not to many people's surprise, but they did not cover that game. And what was more surprising to me was how well the Bears were able to move the football and put up 30+ points against the Dolphins and make it very close there at the end. If the Bears have receivers that can catch that ball, can catch any ball, or the refs, drop the flag every now and then, the Bears might have won that game. So it concerns me here with the Browns and how well they're going to be able to move the football on the ground with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, obviously, as well. The Browns have a solid defense in the secondary. They can get after the quarterback with Myles Garrett, who is the best graded defensive player this season in football so far. I think the Broncos match up well, and the main reason being how good their offensive line and how good their run game is. They can keep the ball out of Tua's hands, try to limit the big play, get after the quarterback. I would not be surprised if the Browns end up winning this game. It seemed like the Dolphins were honestly due for a loss and got lucky against the Bears. I would not be shocked if the Browns went into Miami and won this game. I think it's a good matchup for them as they play very physical, tough football in between the trenches, and that's not something that this Miami team does. And then the last game, which is it's kind of surprising. I advised against picking the Packers last week, cautioned them, this being a divisional game on the road. This week, I'm saying caution the team playing the Packers. It's tough for the Cowboys to go into Green Bay and convince me it's of -5. And this isn't from anything that I see out of these two teams. I think the Cowboys are legitimate Super Bowl contenders this year, and the Packers look disgustingly awful. Aaron Rodgers, 2 end zone interceptions last week against the Lions. It's just so unlike him. I can't believe what I'm watching. But it's always very dangerous going into Lambeau and playing an Aaron Rodgers team, no matter what. And that's really the only basis for this perceived caution. The Cowboys are such a good football team. You're going to get them in such better spots, even in the upcoming weeks. I just don't think it's a great time to pick them. It's against the Packers team, who's dropped 4 straight. They are desperate for a win with talent on both sides of the football. It concerns me. Now, if you pick the Cowboys here, is it the worst pick in the world? No, but something is off to me about this one, and I don't love it. And you get better opportunities later in the year for these Cowboys. And the final pick with perceived caution is the Raiders. This is the least one for sure. The Colts are a team in shambles. Jonathan Taylor not playing because of ankle injury. Just fired their head coach, Frank Wright, interim head coach, Jeff Saturday. A lot of things that are less than to be desired for this Colts team. But also the Raiders aren't that good of a team themselves. You saw them get up to a huge lead against Jacksonville only to blow it. This Raiders team is not fundamentally sound. And while they do have a lot of talent at a lot of spots, they're not putting it together as a team. There are a lot of good players, but they're not a good team. And that concerns me seeing -6.5. I think that -6.5 is a little misleading. If Jonathan Taylor plays this game, then I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. The Raiders have a really good run offense, but they're going up against a really stout front seven against the Colts. So it's really going to be, to me, what can Sam Ehlinger and this offense do in Frank Wright's absence? You saw with the Panthers, when they fired their head coach, they took a step up. Sometimes there really is a head coach in their play calling that's holding a team back. It could be the situation here. We don't know what this newly led Colts team is going to look like. But I do like the way they play tough football. The Raiders don't play tough football. I think the 6.5 is a little bit inflated, and I would stay away from this game if possible. I mean, at the very least, just be cautious about it. Think twice about it. If you have a better pick. It's not a for sure stay away from game. Think twice about it. I like the Chiefs here is the best pick at home against the Jaguars. For very little reason. Otherwise, it's the Chiefs. I mean, they're favored by 9.5 points for a reason. Vrabel was always going to play them tough in a primetime game. Now the Chiefs get to go home against a much lighter opponent with the Jaguars, who you saw, again, I just mentioned, they let up huge points against the Raiders early on. The Chiefs don't let up leads like the Raiders do. Chiefs get up 17 and the game's over. Call it. So I expect the Chiefs, all they really got to do is limit Travis Etienne. I think they'd be fine against the Jaguars that are still one step away from being AFC South contenders. Like the Chiefs here at home. Eagles, this is a primetime game against the divisional opponent. The Eagles should win this game, but because of that, divisional game under the lights on Monday night concerns me a little bit, and that's why it's not the best pick. The best value here, I think, is the first for my survivor videos. The best value is also a team that I'm proceeding with caution. It is the Raiders. Again, the Raiders are a bad football team. You don't get bad football teams at -6.5 very often. So that's just something to consider. Again, I think you should think twice about that game and just understand the risk you're assuming if you pick the Raiders this week. Again, you look at their schedule. You're not picking the Raiders on the road against Denver. Again, great defense. At Seattle, the 12th man in the division-leading Seahawks. Not against the Chargers. Not against the Rams. Patriots, no way. Pittsburgh, if it was at home, you can maybe consider it, but not on the road. And then the Niners and Chiefs. You're not picking these guys. So you'll never pick the Raiders again this year. If you want value, there's very few teams that you will not pick again this year that are as bad as the Raiders that are favored by almost a touchdown at home. So definitely the value there. But again, I don't know what to expect out of this Colts team. And I think the Colts match up honestly pretty well against the Raiders in neutralizing their strong run game. Talking about the other picks then, Eagles, this is clearly one of, if not the most complete teams in football. The reason it's not the best pick is what I mentioned. Primetime game against a divisional opponent. Commanders let one slip against the Vikings. They're still solid. Their front four is really good. They're able to generate a lot of pressure. Even you would think against even this Eagles offensive line, that's one of the best in football. Drop back 7 coverage. It still doesn't seem to be enough because you got Jalen Hurts always liable to run. And it's just tough. It's a really good pick for a reason. Obviously -11. It's just, again, primetime divisional opponent. So that's the only knock I have against that one. Bills At home against the Vikings, off a loss against the Jets. Vikings only have one loss. Bills got their second loss last week against the Jets in the Meadowlands. I really like the Bills here to bounce back after a win. The one thing you really got to monitor if you're going to pick the Bills, and there's probably better spots to pick the Bills this year than this one, is Josh Allen's elbow that he injured not too seriously towards the end of the game against the Jets there. So if Josh Allen's even remotely healthy, I think they're going to beat this Vikings team that honestly, the Bills are going to get way too much pressure and be in Kirk Cousins' face all day, where I don't think the Vikings will be able to put up much on offense. Now, if Josh Allen's hurt and they kind of play the way they played against the Jets, the Bills might not be putting up too much on offense either, but this is a good opportunity for the Bills to prove that they are better than the Vikings. They are still one of the best, if not the best teams in football, and stop, this one game losing skid against a team they probably should have beat in the Jets. But again, monitor closely Josh Allen's elbows. That is not only a concern from this week, but the rest of the season for the Super Bowl contender. The Niners are at home off a bye against the Chargers. I really like the Niners in the spot. I honestly like the -7 here. Niners, got more time for Kyle Shanahan, that offensive guru, coaching staff in general, to scheme up plays for Chris McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel, who should be coming back after resting up this bye off of injury. Playing a Chargers team that is plagued with injuries, especially a wide receiver with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams not playing last week. Mike Williams will not be playing this game, and I don't know really what to expect to Keenan Allen anymore. He seems like he gets hurt every year, takes forever to recover every year. So even if he does play this game, I don't think it's going to be a huge difference maker. I really like the Niners here in a situation where I think they're going to beat up on a Chargers team that should have lost to the Falcons, got lucky. They're not going to be as lucky this week against the Niners. And then the final game, Giants off a bye playing the Texans. I really like the Giants here, especially with how good of a run offense they have with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones too, who's proven to be a real dual threat quarterback in this league, playing a Texans team that has one of if not the worst run graded defense in football. Just checked, the worst rated run defense in football, and it's not even close how bad they are. They are disgustingly bad at stopping the run. The Giants have a knack for winning this year under new head coach Brian Daboll, and I love it. But more importantly, this defense does not let up big plays, and they don't let up a lot of points. I think for all those combinations, I think the Giants are a really good pick this week too. You have a few opportunities to pick them later in the year, but not a ton. So this is also a pretty good week to pick the Giants if you're thinking about going with a team that's not favored by, a touchdown or more. So hopefully this video helps. I was just trying to provide a little more insight on who you should pick for your Survivor League, but ultimately it's up to you. A lot of close games at the bottom that definitely I can see going the other way. And it's weird to have a team that's perceived with caution, but also be a best value. So just think extra hard about that Raiders pick. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you did take them, but you never know what's going to happen to a team after they fire their head coach. As you saw with the Panthers, sometimes it's for the better. But best of luck in week 10, and I hope to see every single one of you survive this week and back here in week 11. Thanks, guys.